What's up? It's the big dog, the BXG, DXG of Comedy Fight Club. And this is the Comedy Fight Club podcast. Comedy Fight Club Confidential?
Comedy Fight Club Confidential.
Comedy Fight Club Confidential. We are your hosts, the big dog, the BXG, DXG Comedy Fight Club. I'm a little bit nervous today. I've got a special associate in the other room who has never heard me do this before. So I'm nervous that she'll be listening in and judging a little by little. But Comedy Fight Club is about one thing. It's about overcoming your fears.
That's right.
It's about
overcoming your fears.
We have one microphone, so we're overcoming our fears of not having enough microphones to do this. We've been talking about having a Comedy Fight Club podcast for a while, and I'm here with my co-host, a man who knows no fear, the Goofball, Pat Haggerty.
That's right. This is the Goofball, and this is Comedy Friend Club. We're hosting two separate shows at the exact same time. This is Comedy Fight Club Confidential and Comedy Friend Club. I am the Goofball, Comedy Fight Club. The guests today are just each other. We're just gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure out each other for once. We're gonna learn what's going on. I gave myself a haircut today. So I'm just pumped. I'm pumped. This is a big day. Sunday. It's kind of the start of the comedy week, but also the end of the comedy week, which is what Comedy Fight Club has always felt like. It's kind of like the actually Greg and Rob say it's the, what do they say? It's like the football game, where during the week everybody's just like going to their classes and they see some of their friends, but then Comedy Fight Club is when you see all the people at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, I don't usually see you two together. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and so this is the breakdown of the football game of comedy, which is Comedy Fight Club.
Yeah, and I think you did a good job cutting your own hair because I wouldn't have guessed. Which is the big thing is, you fucked up bad if everyone notices that you cut your own hair. Mm-hmm. A lot of comedians cut their own hair. I was at a mic the other day, and everyone but me and one other guy cut their own hair. Yeah.
My mom got me this this really good pair of clippers that you can put the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, up to 8. And so I put the 1 and I just do it. Whereas at one point I used just a regular thing of a regular pair of clippers that you would use to make your face really short, the facial hair really short, and it was really bad. Really bad. My girlfriend's in the other room. She had to fix my haircut. Isn't that right, sweetie? Yep. Yeah. She said, "Yep." Yeah. So So now I've moved my way up to getting my hair, to cutting my hair good, and here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to find a way to cut your own hair or to groom yourself, go to manscaped.com, promo code CFC20. It's an organic plug.
That's right.
And you can do that. That'd help us out a lot. We are sponsored by Manscaped, so we are a hot guy show now, by hot guys for hot guys like you to do this. So, yeah, we're here. We're going to talk about some of the roast battles. Yeah,
and Manscaped also sells underwear, which I didn't know about until pretty recently. And yeah, so even, you cut your hair and you have a razor, and then you have that razor for your entire life. But you got to get underwear every few months. You rip a hole in them, you take a shit in them. Sometimes you got to get a new pair of underwear where you're just like, these ones are all right, but they're not really all right, and then you got to throw those out. So that's good.
But yeah, this has been an exciting couple of weeks for you. We've had, producing a roast battle comedy show is definitely difficult because people drop out and get shook sometimes and can't compete. You've had to fill in the last 2 weeks as a main eventer recently. So what was that like, having to prepare everything in the last minute?
Yeah, well, you said it where it's tough to get a roast battle together, because with a regular comedy show, if somebody drops out, you're like, I'll just get somebody with their prepared material and they can come in and do their set instead of this person doing their set who needed to drop out because they were sick or whatnot. But obviously a roast battle, these are people who for at least a week or two are preparing these jokes very specifically for a specific person. So if there's a dropout the day of, you're kind of screwed. You're kind of put into a position where, we don't have anybody, unless there's somebody who's out there who has a roast prepared at every moment for somebody randomly, which I guess I kind of do because I don't prepare for any roast battle I've ever done. So I'm able to I don't care so much. Yeah. I think that's part of it too, is that some people A lot of roast battlers, I think, would be to like, oh no, I don't want to bomb, and I'll be like, no, that's fine. I'll bomb. I would prefer to bomb sometimes. So I have no problem with just jumping in.
Yeah, and you also seem to have no problem with everyone being mad at you either, which I don't. I've been in the situation where sometimes I'll put myself in a situation where I'm kind of the villain of it, and I've been in there, and I don't always care for the everyone hating me thing, but I do like it a little bit. Me and you actually did an impromptu one time where like 2 battles dropped out, so we did an undercard, and I had another roast battle prepared for someone else for another show, a show at the Emmaus Theater. And I was like, it was unspecific enough that I was like, I think I could make this just about Pat. And then, so it was very funny to me to like come up and be like, oh, the last minute thing. And then I have a very long prepared statement that's like very detailed. It's like a whole story, which to me would be like, I imagine everyone there is like, how can it possibly be that he has all this stuff plotted around this one thing? Whereas, but you ended up winning it because you just like, your stuff is like so naturally funny and like so like effortless looking, I guess, that like it kind of goes off of that. Also, the bit I was doing there was that I was in love with your wife or girlfriend. Yeah, and which is I think an unlikable bit to do as a roast. I mean, people it went well in the room, but it did not go well as winning. I think it's hard to vote for that guy.
Yeah.
If that's the character you're going with.
Right. Well, that's the bad. That's the role that you're trying to play is the bad guy, and I think that's the main difference between mine and your roasting style. Is I think they're both things that can be. I think we're both good at just doing anything at any time. It's just that, let's say there's like 20% of the time where it doesn't work at all. And like, it's really just, it's total falls flat. When those times happen with me, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I don't even do it fully on purpose, but, and I'm going into it thinking, I really want this to go well. I would prefer it to be really, really good and positive. And then when it doesn't go well, there is like a rush in my like soul where I'm like, this is great. I hate all of you in the audience, especially when it's real audience. When it's comedians, I almost feel like we're all friends. But when it's real audience and they hate me, I'm like, yeah, that's what you get for watching a roast battle, you jerks.
Yeah, when the audience when a segment of the audience hates you, but the other segment does, that's my favorite time to watch you do anything. Because, I don't know, comedy is just funnier if someone is mad. Mm-hmm. If someone is angry at whatever's going on, it's just like, it's funnier because then it almost becomes like church laughter, where you're like, we shouldn't, they're pissed this is happening, but, it's still very, very funny. There was one I did for the Fifth Borough Comedy Festival. That's right. That where like I had a prepared statement, and then our current champion Ben Miller, potentially the greatest roast battler alive, he kind of with his own prepared statement, and then I was just like, in my mind, I was like, oh man, I'm losing and he's winning, so I just acted my way throughout all my material, and then just did acting like throughout all of that, and that wasn't fun because I felt like I was like, even though I was getting laughs, I was like losing for the entire time. And then when it I almost won and we almost tied, I was like, how did this happen? But like, yeah, so for me, like when I start losing, I like almost feel like I have to like repent to the audience. Mm-hmm. I have to be like, sorry, I screwed up. And then sometimes after that acknowledgement, you can kind of come back out and win.
Yeah.
But like,
but that's your style is to apologize is like a joke in and of itself. It's to be like, I can see you guys are pulling back, and then you kind of go. Honestly, I feel like you just go further with it. So you at least acknowledge like, yes, you're all right, but it's not going to stop. It's just, I'm going to keep doing this. Whereas, I'm definitely more of, yeah, fuck you guys. This is what's happening, and I'm happy that you're mad. Whereas you're like, I understand you're mad, and nothing's gonna change though. It's still gonna stay the same.
How did you feel about the past 2 main events you did? You had Justin Cupo. How did you feel that went?
Yeah, the Justin Cupo one, Matt asked me to do it, and this was the first one in 2 straight weeks that I was asked to do the main event. So the Justin Cupo one, I think, I was really ready to go against, who's the guy I went against last week? The rapping guy.
Oh, Isaac Knox.
I said that. They couldn't hear you in the mic. Yeah. So I went against Justin Cupo the first time, but this was the first main event of 2 in a row. So I was able to just do what I normally do, which is go up there, say his name, say what it rhymes with, say what his initials stand for, and say a couple like mild mannered slurs, really soft, the soft slurs, and the itsy bitsy ones. And and so, but it went well. It was, I think. People have gotten to the point where there's like an excitement to hearing me say certain things, but it's all like, it's actually very, I think Comedy Fight Club has a feeling of like wrestling more than other roast battles do, where it has there's good guys and bad guys and chanting and like you fucked up, like not that one specifically, but they did like that kind of stuff in wrestling. So I was able to build off the energy in the room with that one, because people were, I hadn't done a main event in at least a few weeks, and so people were excited to hear it. And yeah, Justin Cupo is awesome. Justin Cupo is a legitimately great roaster. That's one thing. So I do a lot of roast battles, and I do a lot of main event roast battles now, which is good because my stuff only works if the other person's really good, or it works a whole lot better if the other person's really good. If the other person's bombing, and then I'm like, hey, this guy's a big jerk, and and everyone's just like, oh, now we gotta watch one person be bad and by accident, and one person be bad on purpose. It's like this is just shitty. But if the other person's like really really good, what I do can do really well. Like
Yeah, I've never been in the situation until relatively recently where I've been in there where like it's going so bad for them. And recently I did a main event against Steve Yensel a couple months ago where like Steve had some kind of good showings in undercards, and so we were like, maybe he'd do a main event, like all the local comics come out, people get excited when he's in it, so like let's give him a main event and see what he can do. And then like joke one, it went on for like multiple minutes. It made no sense. He started singing and dancing. 2 black ladies got up and walked out, and it was just like which is bombing on a level I didn't know could happen. Yeah. I didn't know you could bomb your first joke so hard that multiple people leave. So to some extent, it was like exciting being up there and be kind of like, I'm part of a thing that to me is like, everyone here is like legendarily bad. No one I think there is gonna forget that happened. But also like I feel so bad for him. Yeah. But also it also just felt like, because I'm usually the weird one, to be up there and be like, well, Mark's the joke writer, and I'm like, no, I want to be the weird one. I don't want to be the.
Did they say that? Is that what the judges said? Oh man, yeah. I mean, and you are like, obviously, it's like, I love your stuff, but if that means the other person must have really messed up if that's the style that they think you're doing. Yeah. Like they should be thinking like, oh, Mark is like really good at performing and his energy is really great, and then the other person's the one writing jokes. So the fact that Steve Yensel managed to make you the joke writer. Is and hey, I'm the same way. No one's ever. I remember one time I did a stand-up set, and I went up there and I told a joke where it's I told a joke that goes, oh yeah, my girlfriend broke up with me. Yeah, she was the one that got away. Yeah, away too fat. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. And I did maybe 2 or 3 other jokes similar to that. And then this next guy came up after me at an open mic, and he said, man, I got to get back to writing like that. I was like, oh shit, dude, you're really bad. If you think that that's like high end like comedy writing, that's like, and I'm like, I think this is funny, but this is not writing. I don't think that's not my strength. At least not with those jokes. Yeah. So definitely, that's really funny that Steve Yensel managed to make you the joke writer. That's really.
Yeah, and then the following week you did the French roast battle champion, Patrice Haggerty. I liked it because you had like, I mean, the bit was definitely that you were like not trying and the other guy was, which is funny. But I also liked that you had a lot of affectations to it, because it wasn't just like the jokes. You had like the kind of like stuff you do, but you also like, even if it was like a lazy character, the character did still have details, like the cigarette and the wine and stuff. Like it was still like something was going on. There was a degree to like, because most people, they do the battle and they don't think about like how they stand or present themselves in any way. So seeing like a little bit of presentation, I think does go a long way.
Yeah. Well, in between when the judges were doing their things, one of the things I thought, oh yeah, I'll bring up a stool and sit as if I'm in a fine coffee shop in Paris, France, and I wanted to like be sitting with my legs crossed and be like, America. You know, I wanted to have a character to even the in between aspects to it. Yeah. But you know what I was actually thinking was about you. I was clipping up some videos, and I was watching you do the opening, and it was great. I mean, it was about John Fox, who is one of the great characters of Comedy Fight Club is John Fox.
And one of your many rivals, one of your most heated rivals. Maybe if you're Ash, he's Gary, or is he Ash and you're Gary?
I think I'm Gary. I think I'm definitely Gary. He's definitely much more likable. He has a Pikachu for sure. He also woke up late to getting the Pokemon. John Fox is absolutely Ash Ketchum. Yeah.
Yeah, he always is sweaty, so it does make sense he'd always be late. Yeah. He's how sweaty Ash should be.
He's grown up Ash because Ash would also have become an alcoholic, so that definitely fits in. It's I love John Fox. He's like the classic alcoholic too. Like where it's funny because that's something that it's these days. I think people have realized the lack of humor in alcoholism, but not with John Fox. Like it's still funny. It's still funny. He's still like, whoa, like he has like a bottle of beer and he's like, like he's the hiccuping alcoholic from the cartoons, from like Bugs Bunny cartoons, and it's still very humorous. Yeah. What's your I'd be willing to answer this question too. But what is your method for writing the beginning stuff before Comedy Fight Club?
With everything I do, I don't really write a lot down. There's a few times I write everything down, but mostly I just think of everything, and then I kind of come up with an angle, and then when I'm there, I like just kind of say the angle and try to riff on it. So, because sometimes I'll go, like, the intros won't be that good, and part of that will just be like, the audience just isn't that into what I'm doing. So I'll be like, here's the angle, and they'll be kind of like, okay, and I'm like, all right, well, the next battle, here's the angle, and then sometimes the intro I'll not hit on anything, and then the last two previews I'll like hit something, and I'll be able to like go a direction with it. So usually it's just I just like come up with an angle and then present it and like try to do what I can to like make everything like feel like moments. Recently, I was in I did Roast Battle Chicago. I was one of their judges, and I kept trying to like make moments there, and they had no idea what I was doing. Where I was gonna be like, I had this whole thing where I was like saying that, every Fight Club, I say this is the meanest roast battle show in the world. I want everyone on the show to be so mean that when I say it to the people back at Comedy Fight Club, I know in my heart that I'm lying. And I feel like they were like, what did we do with that? They had no idea like even what I'm trying to do. They're like, why would you say that? Why would you want to have that? Like, it was just, they just like weren't. I kept trying to be like, and this moment is this thing is happening, and they were kind of like, I wasn't like totally bombing the whole Roast Battle Chicago thing, but I was like, every time I would try to go that direction, I'd be like, let's shift gears. They're not really into like the almost like pro wrestling moment making of everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that I even noticed that with Roast Battle at New York Comedy Club is they don't consider it to be a fight. They consider it to just be a comedy show, and then maybe also the dethroning of somebody's will to live, like they want to strip somebody of their dignity, but they don't consider it to be it's a grudge match between these two. It's more like, okay, that guy's doing a good comedy show and that guy's doing a bad one, so let's all hate this person. and there's an odd thing where audience members who get really into roast battling, unless you other than Comedy Fight Club, where Comedy Fight Club is like, we want them to be like rowdy and it's all in fun, at least in my view of it. Other roast battles, if they get into it, it's because they're actually like snarling and like and drooling and be like, yeah, let's bring this guy down. This nobody is gonna stay a nobody, and we're gonna keep him that way. Yeah. So the fact that you were trying to bring it that, I applaud you. I want to say that I applaud you for trying to bring that vibe of good guy, bad guy. There should be a good guy and a bad guy. There should be like an actual feud going on, and that's. Why would it's called Roast Battle? Like why wouldn't you have that?
Yeah, because if you can successfully paint yourself as the good guy and them as the bad guy, you can definitely win. Yeah, it's definitely a path to winning. It is unfun to not to be the person that you get that done to, because then you're just like you can't do anything. You're the villain. Even if you get a joke that lands, you still aren't winning somehow. Yeah, right. It's just tough to it's tough to do. So. But let's talk about some of the battles we got coming up this week. We got some good ones coming up. We have the I want to sit in a way that I look muscular.
Mm-hmm. You look great.
You look great. It's the comedy friend club of it all.
Comedy friend club, brought to you by Manscaped.
All right, yeah. So this week we got the quarterfinals of the spring tournament. Ben Miller, he needs a new contender for the title. Iron can only sharpen iron. I think Ben. So we need the toughest competitor to make him even better at roast battling. But his eye might be off the prize, because the thing with Ben Miller is that he's got the science show, and me and him went on a recent Midwest tour where he's teaching all these people about science and doing comedy and stuff, and. I don't know if you can stay focused on roast battling if you have that. Because the big thing with Ben is that, unlike us or unlike you, who famously doesn't try in a funny way, and then me who doesn't try to do a lot of jokes. Ben will write 100 jokes for a main event and then only keep the top 12. So it's a really time intensive process for him to really to do as good as he does. So we need a tough competitor to do that. To either make him a better roast battler or unseat him from his throne so we can go and be a nice boy science comic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ben Miller strikes me as someone who might keep the belt for a while, though. He's really good, yeah. And he's like Floyd Mayweather in that he's kind of a technical roaster, where he'll just beat you. At the very least, he'll beat you by points. He'll beat somebody like me by knockout, but he'll be even a really good roaster. He'll just beat them by points, just by oh yeah, here's one that's just a little bit better than the one you just did, and here's another one. Yeah, he's great, and like you said, I know of him as someone who. Literally, that's not an exaggeration, will write 100 jokes and then shave it down to the 15 that he actually needs. And so it just seems like if you give him 2 or 3 weeks, whatever the amount of time is between whoever his challenger is, and then when he goes against them, he's going to write at least 80 jokes, and then it doesn't matter that as long as you give him the time, he will just go into that mode. And this is everybody, right? We're now to the stage where everybody who is who's in the tournament is going tonight, or is going in the next Comedy Fight Club.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so the people that are going out tonight, they're all of them are in there, that they have a shot to win the title. The first battle we've got tonight is John and Joda versus Priya Blunts, 2 powerful Indian comedians. Very, very different vibes, I think. John and Joda is one of our meanest comedians out there. When he's up there, he goes against the judges, which is hilarious to me. He goes against his opponent. Will go against Matt if he wants to. He's very aggressive. We drove him to a Jersey show once, and then the way he just talked to his sister on the phone was aggressive for no reason. But I think it was also because he knew we were in the car, and he's like, I'm gonna. If he has an audience and he can be mean for laughs, he'll do it in a second. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like being in prison when you hit somebody with the lunch tray just to assert dominance. I think that's John and Joda pretty aggressively. But you mentioned John and Joda and Priya are both strong Indian roast battlers. Probably they might be the 2 strongest, other than Divya Gunasekaran, who is also an Indian roast battler. I think is there something there? Is there something about the curry? Is there?
Well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Indian people, so they all have to be good at it eventually. Priya's very different. Priya did the first time she did the show. I shouldn't say this, but I thought she was bad and was going to be bad forever. Her and Mika Mo did a battle in the backyard somewhere during COVID, and it was bad. And they got into an argument with the judges. And her face afterwards, I thought she was never going to do it again. I just didn't see it coming. And then I saw that they were doing the Comedy Store, the 2 of them together, and I was surprised. I was like, that battle's going to go to the Comedy Store? They're going across the country to do this battle again. It didn't go that well the first time, but she's really stuck at it. And sometime last year, I think it was, she had a battle at the Stand that was really good, and I was like, she's gotten really good at this. And she's done a battle against Matt Maron, who rarely does battles. She did one for a Lindsay Jennings roast show in Long Island, and then she also did the Staten Island one, which you booked her on, where she was awesome on that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's become another like really good technical roast battler where it's like she has a few go-to rhythms, not lines necessarily, but you can kind of read the rhythm of a certain joke, and she has go-to rhythms that are really good and work really well on a regular basis. She's become very good, and yeah, this is a fun. This will be an interesting like roast battle show for us to preview, because this is all for the tournament. So all of these roast battles and all the roast battlers are very good. So we don't have to shit on anybody this time. There's gonna be some times in the future where there might be someone who's like, this person's not very good, and this might be a bloodbath. But this one's gonna be really good. Priya's very good, and I guess I'll jump to talking about Jana Jota on top of individually with it being the opponent of Priya. Ajota is so good. Ajota is so good. Priya has it in her, and I think that she like definitely has the ability to come in as the strength to win that one. But John Ajota might be the best roast battler out there.
Yeah, I'd love to be in there with John one day. I just don't have an angle on him yet, because I just like the guy, so I don't have a thing that I would do against him. I just don't have a... But it would just be so fun to be up there and he's like yelling at judges and stuff. It'd be great. And then the next one, and speaking of intensity, this next one is a very big clash of styles. We got Miles Toe versus Dave Sheehan. I think this is going to be interesting, because Dave is one of the most... he's the meanest man in Connecticut. He is the best roast battle in all of Connecticut. He runs all of our Connecticut shows. He's one of the most clever joke writers out there, but not always the meanest. Not every joke he has is like super mean, whereas Miles, I think, is not as clever of a joke writer, but is one of the meaner ones we've got. He's like a newer main eventer. He has his whole group with him, so it'll be like him and if his whole crew shows up, they're all going to be there cheering him loudly if he does well, or if he does bad, booing and heckling him the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, Miles. Well, we'll be at the stand, or this show will be at the stand. So Miles, I feel like Miles has a little bit of a reputation of being a big game player. For one, on top of being good and mean as a roast battler, I feel like he actually has a reputation of being best under the lights, under the bright lights. And then Dave Sheehan is more of a I've used this term a few times. He's the technical roaster of this, where he's just a really good joke writer. And I think Miles Toe, it would have to come down to energy, and that could happen at the stand. I feel like at another venue, I would give Dave Sheehan a big edge, but then actually at the stand, I could see actually that helping Miles a lot, because it'll be more intense of a situation.
Yeah, and these are also ones where because it's a tournament fight, not everyone knows each other super well. So sometimes you get two people who are really good at roast battling that don't really know each other that well, and they just can't get an angle, and it doesn't always land. But this one, Dave's not going to have that problem. So I think that Dave, while on paper Dave should win, I think there's a chance that Miles edges him out. Excuse me. The next one is Malia Simon versus Dan Parafan, which Malia Simon's very quiet, soft-spoken. But all of her jokes are always mean. They all make sense and they're very good. So I think Dan Parafan's been doing it significantly longer, but he's like a big fat guy that's always sweating. Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna be unlikely that he beats Malia today. I think it's gonna be tough for him to overcome that. Yeah. So I get this might actually be the first one that we have a general disagreement on, because I think Dan Parafan crushes sometimes. he really comes in hard, and I guess so this is the difference between getting the most laughs and then being likable. That might be the thing that divides it, is that Dan Parafan has said some of the most brutal things in roast battles, where it's like, oh my God, what was the one he did against he did against a female comic, where he said, did you know that this female comic was once raped? Well, but did you know that she deserved it? Which is horrible, but it was so good. It was so good in the moment, and it's just something that he was able to nail, and it crushed in the room. Yeah. So it's something that he will do really well, but I could see him getting the whole crowd to be turned. He can get the crowd to turn him against him pretty easily, also. So I'll still say that I think Dan will win, but. The thing that would help Malia the most is if Dan totally shits himself by accident. Yeah. Yeah, and also like depending on like the makeup of the audience, sometimes like women just like outright like they're just more likable on a lot of these, and so I kind of lean a little more towards Malia, but I mean it'd be fun. I think if Dan wins, it'll be a really really fun battle. The next one is my guy, the 2022. 2023, the 2022 King of New Jersey, Jesse Montanez. If you're Gary to John Fox's Ash Ketchum, I'm definitely the Gary to Jesse Montanez. He's the Ash Ketchum. He is debatably the main character of all of our Jersey Comedy Fight Club shows. He's like fought me. He's gone against Matt Maron. He's like won the first Big Dog Invitational. He's very big into the New Jersey thing, and I would like him to win because I'm the original King of New Jersey and would like to see him go to the top and bring honor to the King of New Jersey title. However, he's going against Caroline Haynes, who I think is going to win the whole tournament.
Oh, you think Caroline Haynes is going to win the tournament? Against Jesse Montanez. So this one actually, it's the most exciting one to me as a comedian because this is kind of the most just like crossing of worlds, especially for us as two strong into the Jersey scene comedians. Seeing Jesse Montanez versus Caroline versus a New York City comic in general. This is cool. Like this is what this is all about. This is kind of, it's like seeing two boxers who are from different countries go against each other. So that's really cool. Jesse Montanez, I think, is underrated. And he's really good. And who did he go against last week?
Gina Hyena.
He went against Gina Hyena, and I was slightly concerned because I was like, oh, Gina Hyena might Gina Hyena is really good, and I think that people are going to be on her side in a lot of ways. Yeah. But then Jesse Montanez came out and actually was really, really good. Like it was as good a roast battle as I've ever seen him do, and he does a lot, and he's always great. He has a really different style than a lot of the other joke writers, because he's still a joke writer, but even a different style than the other joke writers, because he has a lot of really short, concise jokes that I think are as unique as it gets in terms of the people who do write jokes. So he's someone who comes in with a little he's a little bit of the southpaw uppercut guy of if you're going to the boxing terminology, or just like the knuckleballer a little bit, but he comes in with a different thing. But Caroline Haynes is very good and very likable. So I think that she's someone who would have both sides because she's also a good writer.
Yeah, she's really good, really likable. I saw her when I was over in Scotland. She did the Scottish roast battle show too. She won that as well. I don't think I've seen her like lose or even get on the ropes yet. I think that she's not someone who's like fully proven in a lot of shows, but I think that she's like really likable. And if I'm Jesse, I'm not quite sure what angle to take with her because like she seems very like normal too. So I think it'll be hard for him to like triangulate a roast on her. But yeah, it's just so weird because the Jersey scene overall is not respected by New York City for honestly good reasons. But it's not respected by New York City at all. So a lot of times, we'll bring in people from New Jersey and they'll come in and they'll have epic bombs. They'll just completely, like throw up all over themselves the second they get a shot at doing a roast battle in New York. So seeing Jesse do have a good showing against Gina Hyena, I was like very proud of him for doing that. I was very happy for him. And seeing him go against Caroline is very interesting because like, Jess, again, they shouldn't know each other in any way. They just wouldn't know each other, but like seeing him come in there and get the shot, I'm excited to see what he could do. And the main event, Derek Humphreys versus Divya Gunasekaran. Divya won our last tournament. She's very strong, very good joke writer, very likable. But Derek, I think, has like a following. He might be like a real comic or whatever. Yeah.
From what I've seen, is Derek is just really good. Mm-hmm. So he's someone who, even if like Divya is also really good, so that helps her cause as being funny and a good comedian. But it's not everything, folks. No, but Derek is. I think what he'll have going for him, and maybe not much else, is that he's good. So at this particular show, so I think Divya is going to have a lot of backing from the crowd. So Derek will have to crush in order to really win, which I think he will, and maybe he'll win by like a half a joke over Divya, but that won't be enough because Divya is also going to be great, and she's just going to be too popular in the room. So I think Divya will win that one. So Ajota versus Priya. Who was your winner for that one?
Jota.
Yeah, Jota for me as well. Miles Toe versus Dave Sheehan.
Miles.
I will go Dave on that one, but that's just a cover. He'll cover the spread. Malia Simon versus Dan Parafan.
Malia.
I'll go with Dan. I think that's so it's a little bit of me and the big dog getting at each other's throats. Jesse Montanez versus Caroline Haynes.
I have to say Jesse, even though I think it's actually Caroline.
Okay, I'll say Caroline because if I would have said Jesse. So and then Derek Humphrey versus Divya.
Divya.
Yeah, I'll go with Divya as well. Yeah, that's that's the rest of the roast battle. Who do you think will get made fun of the best by Matt Marin?
Dan Parafan. Dan is such a good target. He always looks sweaty. He sometimes has a different outfit on. Sometimes he'll show up and he'll wear what I think is his normal thing, is a blue shirt and kind of baggy jeans. And other times he shows up like he's an Amish father. Yeah. With full suspenders and a white shirt. He can kind of show up kind of dressed like anything. So Parafan I feel is the most ripe for just a low hanging fruit joke at his expense.
Yeah. I'll go with Miles Toe. There. I think he's going to say something about him being black. I think and that's because he is, which is great. And which is great. We're all for it. And who's going to be there? Lawrence is going to be there probably, right? He might just be there to hang. Yeah, he might just be there to hang. Be a good. He's a good hype man just in general. Yeah. So I think that he might be there to cheer Miles on, and he'll be like, "You gonna take that?" I don't know. He's gonna say something like that. So that's gonna be on my gambling card. Is that Lawrence will be there and he'll say something when everyone's not talking, and then he'll say something and it'll get a good laugh from the crowd. So that's my call. That's my hot take, is that Lawrence will be there and say something funny from the crowd.
Yeah. And maybe this should be edited out, but I don't think Lawrence isn't doing the hype man thing anymore, as far as I know, because I think he doesn't want to do it anymore. He says he doesn't want to, so yeah, he's not doing it anymore, which is too bad, because I like Lawrence doing it, because that middle spot, between the main event and the undercards, is really, really difficult. And I thought he was really good because he's exceptionally mean. Yeah. Cause that middle spot, you had to say something none of the judges have said that's different enough, and so I thought he did a really good job of just saying creative things, being unique, and bringing a fun energy to the show. So I'm bummed out that he's doesn't want to do that anymore. But also I understand. But yeah, that's the thank you, Lawrence. Lawrence wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Well, now that's where our advertisement is from Manscaped, is in between the last undercard battle and the main event. So so now we got it cooking pretty good. Yeah. What else? Let's say something funny.
I think that's it.
I think that's it as well. Yeah. I think that's it as well. We did it. We had a good show here. This is the Comedy Friends Club, Comedy Fight Club Confidential, where we get real about some stuff. So that's the show, and
thanks for watching. We'll see you again. We should have a meaner ending.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. Go fuck yourselves.
What's up, Commissioner Matt Marin here. I never come to a real show without first doing, you know what? Shaving my balls with Manscaped. Comedy Fight Club is now brought to you by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, promo code CFC20 for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. You can get boxers, you can get grooming equipment, you can get grooming equipment for your beard, for your balls, whatever you want. It's 2023, anyone can have balls now. You can get the performance package, comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, that's what I use. It is a game changer. It reduces the risk of cuts and it's waterproof. And if you get the performance package, it comes with the Weed Whacker. You can use that for your nose, for your ear trimming, anywhere you got hair on your body, Manscaped's got your back. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the promo code CFC20. If you love this show, you want to support this show, this is a way to help us out. It's our first sponsor. Go to manscaped.com, use our promo code. You'll be helping our show and you'll be helping your balls. Now back to the show.